So in these lectures, we are going to learn the process of identifying security methods protecting cryptocurrency. So first we start with what is a cryptocurrency. So it's a digital or virtual currencies that employ cryptographic for security. Also, unlike traditional currencies, they are generally not issued by a central authority, now rendering them theoretically immune to government interference or government manipulation. Now, the underlying technology here is that in cryptocurrencies operate on decentralized network, primarily the blockchains. So in our earlier lectures, we said blockchain is essentially a distributed, immutable ledger that records all transactions across a network of computers. They enable secured peer-to-peer transaction, meaning users can send and also receive value directly without the need for intermediaries like banks or payment process. Now, why is security crucial? We say first is irreversible transaction. Irreversible transaction, which means a fundamental characteristic of a blockchain is that once a transaction is confirmed and added to the ledger, it cannot be reversed. So immutability means that if funds are stolen or sent to the wrong address, recovery is exceedingly very difficult, often impossible to recover. Also, secondly, will be the attractive target for cyber criminals. So, target for cyber criminals, theft, fraud, and also scams. So, the high value and also irreversible nature of cryptocurrency transaction make them a prime target for various cybercriminal activities, as we said, including the theft, fraud, and also scam. Also, the next is the lack of central authority for recovering of lost and stolen assets. So these are the three major reasons why security is crucial. So unlike the traditional banking, where a bank can intervene to reverse a fraudulent transaction or recover lost fund, example, deposit insurance or bad checks, there is no central authority in most cryptocurrency network to provide such services. So this places a significant burden of security directly on the user. And now, next we talk about the cryptographic. The crypto in cryptocurrency again refers to cryptography, which again is the science of secure communication in the presence of adversaries. And also is the foundational layer of security for all cryptocurrencies. And that would take us to the idea of a public key cryptography, or we use the term asymmetric cryptographic. So this system uses a pair of mathematically linked keys, a public and also a private key. Now, public key is the analogous to a bank account number. This is analogous to a bank account number. And also it can be freely shared with others, allowing them to send you cryptocurrency. And it's again mathematically derived from the private key, but cannot be used to deduce the private key. Now, the private key is the most critical piece of information. It's like, again, the PIN or a signature for your bank account, a PIN for like ATM concept. So it must be kept absolute secret. So the private key is used to digitally sign transactions, proving ownership of the funds, and also authorizing their transfers. So the loss of a private key means permanent loss of access to your cryptocurrency. So the next also technology we should know is the hash functions. Hash function example here, we say the SHA/256 for Bitcoin. This is for Bitcoin. Normally convert data into a unique face size string, which we call the hash. So a hash function takes an input, data of any size, and also produces a face size unique output, which we call the hash. Now, the key properties of security, first will be, I would say, the deterministic. The same input always produces the same output. That will be one of the first key properties for security. And also one way, which means it's computationally infeasible to reverse a process. So derive the input from the hash is possible. Then collision resistant. Here we can say it's extremely difficult to find two different inputs that produce the same hash. And as we mentioned by the decentralization, data is distributed across multiple nodes in the network. We mentioned earlier, no single point of failure, increased resistance to attack and censorship. Also require consensus among nodes for transactions to be, again, valid. So decentralization is a very important point here. So, for example, in terms of decentralization, we can understand the concept of, again, distributed network. Now, instead of a central server or authority, again, the blockchain ledger is distributed across vast network of independent computers, which we will call the nodes. So each node holds a full copy of the blockchain. Now, as we mentioned, no single point of failure, also resistance to attacks and censorship, etc. So the next is the consensus mechanism. And we will say that these are the algorithms that ensure all network participants agree on the validity of transactions. That's the validation of transactions, and the correct order of blocks in the blockchain. So they prevent issues like, example would be a double spending the same cryptocurrency twice. Next also we should know is the proof of work, which is the POW. Example would be the Bitcoin. So normally it's used by Bitcoin and also other Ethereum miners, which we'll call the nodes with powerful computers, compete to solve complex, again, computational puzzle, finding nonce that when combined with block data produces a hash below certain target, we can see. And normally this is the process we call the mining process. So the immense computational power required to solve these puzzles make it economically, I would say, infeasible to rewrite the blockchain history. So a 51% attack where one entity controls over 50% of the network's computational power is theoretically possible, but practically very expensive and also difficult to sustain on a large POW networks. The next one, we have the POS, which is the proof of stake also. Example given here is the Ethereum 2.0 and many newer blockchains also. So now in this concept, instead of competing with computational power, validators are chosen to create a new blocks based on the amount of cryptocurrency they stake in the network. So the more stake a validator has, which means the higher their chance of being selected. So POS, in terms of security, incentivize the honest behavior. Honest behavior, we mean the validators lost their stake for malicious actions. Malicious actions, the validators will lose their stake. And also this incentivize attacks. So here an attacker will need to acquire a majority of the stake cryptocurrency, which will likely devalue their own holdings. And it's also significantly more energy efficient than POW. Then we also have some other mechanism here. For example, we may delegated proof of stake or DBOS, practical by Zatan, fault tolerance, which is PBFT. So these are again many variations, including DBOS, as we said, and also PBF. Now, each with different security and also scalability trade-offs. The next session is we can talk about the immutability. So each new block of chain transaction is cryptographically linked to the previous one using its hash. So this creates a chain where any change to a past block will require recalculating the hashes of all subsequent blocks in the chain, making it computationally infeasible. That is the chain blocks. Then also we have the tamper-proof ledger. Here, once a transaction is included in a block and that block is added to the blockchain and also confirmed by the network, it is considered a permanent and cannot be altered or cannot again be deleted, changed. No. So this property crucial for maintaining trust and also integrity, maintaining trust and integrity in the decentralized ledger. So next we talk about cryptocurrency wallets. So first we say what are wallets? This is common, sometimes common misconception that wallets store cryptocurrency. Instead, they store your private keys. They store your private keys. So wallets store our private keys or your private keys, which are the cryptographic proofs of your ownership of funds on the blockchain. And the actual cryptocurrency always reside on a blockchain ledger, always reside on a blockchain ledger. So wallets provide an interface to manage your private keys and also to interact with the blockchain to send and also receive transactions. And we have different types of wallets and also their security. So for example, first we have the hot wallets that's online. Normally, the software wallets that are connected to the internet. This include exchange hosted wallets or mobile apps, and also desktop client software. And we have the pros and cons. It's very convenient for frequent trading. So high convenience for frequent trading and also easy to set up and use. Now the cons will be the higher security risk due to constant internet exposure and also vulnerable to online threats like hacking malware, phishing, and denial of service attacks, etc. Then we also have the cold wallet, which is offline. So here, devices or methods that store private keys completely offline. So this is again isolated from the internet. The advantage or the pros here is, since it's isolated from the internet, has a maximum security against online threats or against hacking also. Private keys never leave the device, always in the device. Again, it's offline. And the cons here, or the disadvantage here, we can say is less convenient for frequent transaction. It requires physical access. Also, risk of physical loss, theft, or damage to the device. So hardware wallet normally, we can say that it's dedicated physical device. Dedicated physical device, hardware wallets. It's again dedicated physical device. Example would be the larger or Trezor also. Trezor is an example also. So normally designed specifically to securely store private keys offline in a secure chip. They usually require physical confirmation for transactions. Then we also have what we call the paper wallet also. Paper wallet, which is a private and also public keys are printed on a piece of paper, while immune to online attacks, but they are highly vulnerable to physical damages. Example would be a water or even fire or loss or theft. Then we also have the sound wallet, which is not very common, less common. Keys normally encoded into a sound waves. So those are the few examples. Also, we have the multi-factor authentication system. This enables again all accounts and devices where possible. Enable all accounts. So next is about the backup, how we can back up our wallet. So as we mentioned earlier, one main thing is the hardware wallet is strongly recommended for significant holdings. Also, the concept of strong and also unique password, etc. Also, so here we say in terms of backup your wallet or seed phrase, here we say securely store your recovery phrase, which is the seed word, offline. Also preferable in multiple save locations. Never take screenshots or store digital copies of your seed phrase online. Also, we should avoid public Wi-Fi. Public networks are susceptible to interception. So use a VPN, virtual private net, if unavoidable. Also, keep software always updated. Regularly update the wallet software operating system and also antivirus programs to patch vulnerabilities. Also, strong unique password, as we mentioned earlier, very important. Also, we mentioned about the multi-factor authentication system also, very important. So here also with the exchange security measures, these are some features in the reputable exchanges. Now, choosing reputable exchanges, there should be a very due diligence. The due diligence comes in. We should tolerate research and exchange history. Also, the regulatory compliancy, security audits, very important, and also customer support. Also, the cold storage policy is very important. which we mention here. Reputable exchanges store a significant majority of their user funds in cold storage. Cold storage, again, the concept of offline. The goal is to minimize exposure to online hacks. So, in general, we will say that only a small percentage is kept in a hot wallet for operational liquidity. As we mentioned earlier, so security features offered by the exchange. We mentioned about the two-factor authentication. Also, we have the concept of withdrawal, whitelist IP restriction. This allows withdrawals only to pre-approved addresses or from specific IP addresses. So allow users again to pre-approve specific withdrawal addresses or restrict logins, withdrawals to certain IP address. The goal here is adding layers of protection against unauthorized access. Also, then we also have the bug bounty program and penetration tests. Here, normally exchanges often incentivize the ethical hackers to find and also report vulnerabilities through bug bounties and regularly employ third-party security firms to conduct, again, penetration tests. So again, we have so many security issues here. Example here also is the regular security audits. Independent security experts audit the exchanges systems and protocols. Also anti-money laundering and know your customer procedures also. Yeah. Why sometimes it seems as an inconvenience by users, but this is very crucial for preventing any illicit financial activities and often requirement for regulatory compliances. This is contributing to overall platform legitimacy and security also. Also, we should consider insurance funds also. So some exchanges offer insurance to reimburse users in case of a hack. So yeah, we say though this is not universal or guaranteed also. Then minimizing the funds on exchanges. Here we said that will be one of the best practice. Only keep the amount of cryptocurrency you actively need for trading on an exchange. For a long-term holdings or significant amount, transfer them to your personal hardware or cold wallet hardware. Exchanges, despite their security measures, remain again centralized point of attack. Next, these are some of the common threats and how to mitigate them. First, we had the phishing scams. So here the threat will be deceptive attempts. For example, fake websites, fake email or messages, social media messages to trick users into, again, revealing sensitive information like private keys, passwords, or seed phrases. Now, what are the mitigation here? Always verify the URLs carefully. Bookmark legitimate sites. Be very, very extremely wary of unsolicited emails or messages, especially those promising free crypto. Be careful. Free crypto urgent actions. Never click suspicious link. Also, never enter your private key or seed phrase on any website. So that is the main mitigation. Then we also have the malware and ransomware also. The threat here is malicious software installed on your device that can steal your private keys. even monitor your activities or encrypt your files. So the mitigation here will be use reputable antivirus software. Be cautious about downloading files from untrusted sources. Avoid opening suspicious email attachments or clicking unknown links. The next will be the cyber attack. The threat here will be an attacker creates a large number of fake identities or nodes to gain disproportionate influence over a decentralized network, potentially again disrupting its operations. So the mitigation here will be, we should be primarily addressed by the core blockchain design and also consensus mechanism, as we mentioned, like POW or POS, make it computationally or economically prohibitive to control a majority of nodes. Then we have the 51% attack. And the threat here also is a single entity or group gains control of over 50% of a blockchain network mining, POW, or stacking POS power. This allows them to do what? Manipulate the transaction order, reverse transactions if possible, prevent a new transaction from being again confirmed. So the mitigation here will be largely a concern for smaller, less decentralized blockchains. So major cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin are highly decentralized, making 51% attack extremely costly and difficult to sustain. So the sheer investment required often far exceed the potential returns. Then also we have the routing attack, interception or alterations of data as it travels across the internet to reach the blockchain nodes. Attackers can potentially reroute the traffic or censor the transactions also. So the mitigation here is why not directly a blockchain vulnerability? Network security best practices, example, encrypted communication, network monitoring. Most important, also firewalls will be very good. Firewalls for external protection from external, and also VPN, virtual system for users. This surely can help reduce, again, the risk. Now, next is the smart contract security. First, what are smart contracts? This will be a self-executing agreement whose terms are directly written into lines of code. And they normally run on a blockchain and also automatically execute when predefined conditions are met. They underpin many decentralized applications, protocols, dev protocols. So we have a vulnerability. We may have bugs or flaws in the code. Bugs or flaws in the code can be exploited, leading to loss of funds or manipulations of contract outcome. So unlike traditional contracts, smart contracts are immutable once deployed. So any bug or vulnerability in the code can be permanently, again, as we said, exploited by the attackers, leading to significant financial losses. So next is the security measures. First, we should secure coding practices. Secure coding practices. So developers must adhere to rigorous secure coding standard, using established patterns, avoiding common pitfalls. Also audit and formal verification, always audits and formal verification. So independent third-party security firms may review smart contract code to identify and also rectify vulnerabilities before deployment. This is very critical step for any significant smart contract project. Then we have the formal verification, a more rigorous or mathematical approach to proving the correctness of code and also the absence of, again, bugs. Then we have the bug bounties, encourage white hat hackers to find and report vulnerabilities. So projects often offer the reward to ethical hackers, which we call the white hats, who will discover and responsibly disclose vulnerability in their smart contract code. Now, user responsibility, the human factor. Here we say you are your own bank. In terms of this concept, you are your own bank. This is fundamental concept of, I would say, cryptocurrency. You are your own bank. With great freedom comes great responsibilities. So with great freedoms comes great responsibility. There's no customer service to call if you lost your private key or send funds to the wrong address. So the next, due diligence, education, research, very important. So we should continuously educate ourselves about cryptocurrency technology, security risks, and also the best practice. Thoroughly research any cryptocurrency project, exchange, wallet provider, etc., etc. Then next we have the risk management. Diversify investment. Diversification will be very good. So don't put all your eggs in one basket. Diversify your cryptocurrency holdings across different assets and storage method. Also invest avoidable. Invest avoidable. Only invest when you can afford to lose. Yeah. Only invest what you can afford to lose when red spots. And also the crypto market is highly volatile and speculative, very highly volatile. Scammers. So always beware of scams. Beware of scams. Also, personal OPSEC, or we say operational security, personal operational. So be discreet about your crypto holdings. Avoid publicly discussing specific amount on your storage method, as this can make you a target. Also, digital hygiene, very important. So when we say digital hygiene, we mean practice good digital hygiene, strong, unique password, MFA, updated your security, awareness of phishing, social engineering tactics, etc. Now, the next will be the future of cryptocurrency security. This is an evolving trade. So, yeah, we say as technology advances, so the method of attack also. Yeah, so as the cryptocurrency ecosystem grows and also technology advances, attackers also constantly develop new and more sophisticated methods to exploit vulnerability. So security is an ongoing, I would say ongoing arms race. Ongoing arms race. It's ongoing innovation. So improvement in cryptographic algorithms, development of more secure hardware, wallets, etc. So research continues into new and more robust cryptographic algorithms, including the post-quantum cryptography to prepare for potential threats from quantum computing. Also, hardware wallet evolution. Hardware wallets are becoming more user-friendly, feature-rich, and secure with advanced secure limits and authentication method. Also, we have the regulated landscape and collaboration, continual collaboration between cybersecurity experts and the blockchain developers and also users is very vital for secure ecosystem. So in conclusion here, we can say cryptocurrency security is a multi-layer relying on inherent strength of blockchain technology, cryptographic, decentralized consensus, and robust user practice. While the underlying blockchain is highly secure, vulnerabilities often arise at the user interface level. This can be the wallets or exchange process and through human errors. I think that's very important. So proactive security measure, as we mentioned in the lectures, education, research is ongoing process. So that will be the conclusion of these lectures, and hopefully we'll see in the next lecture. Thank you.